Welcome to Space Academy, Space KRAKEN, Space Academy, the last part. Now I explain you how to handle the space combat. And what else do we have? Yeah, the Quest Master, I say some words about that. And then we have shown every component of the game, at least one time playing through. So I guess it's easy to get started playing and read the rules and details if you just heard everything once about before. Okay, space combat. We already have made one space flight in the last video, initiated a space flight, and in that case we was very lucky and we not triggered the space combat. This time we trigger a space combat. Accidentally, we don't like it normally, but let's say we risk too much. Let's say we have the location difficulty of 2. That means we already have 2 difficulty for the space combat as well. And we risk a bit more and say we want to smuggle goods. So plus 2 to the difficulty, we have a difficulty of 4. But we get, if we managed the flight and not fail or escape, we get 10 credits extra. So we have a spaceflight difficulty of 4. Now we check if that combat gets triggered by rolling a 6-sided dice and rolling higher as the space flight difficulty of 4. So we need to roll a 5 or a 6, and as I hoped, I roll less, so we triggered a space combat. Now we have to see what space combat. We have different variations here. In the final book we have finer grades and different kinds of ships attacking you and so on, but we already have enough, and so we can choose one. We not choose one, we roll a die to decide what combat gets triggered. Roll a 6-sided dice. 1, that's good. The higher numbers, the more difficult the combats get. And you add twice the spaceflight difficulty. The spaceflight difficulty was 4, so plus 8, meaning number 9 is the result. So we have to fight against, or we have to encounter Shield Station is the name of. And now we just take these values here and enter them on the combat sheet. First, we have a timeline. Sometimes something special happens, like ships evading and are more difficult to attack, or they even lower their shields for a single turn, so it's the perfect timing to attack them then. All the functions are explained here for the timeline. I guess after the first combat now, and after you see how it works, we go through all details what we not used already, so you get an overview how it works. Okay, we have at the moment, here's nothing in the timeline, so nothing special happens. But we have here a A17 objective. That means we have to solve something special to get rid of the shield station. And A in this case means an attack, so we have to send ground troops to attack them and to destroy the shield station, so we can pass by. Sometimes, for example, you have tech probes, so you have to use your tech level of your crew to solve the objectives. In this case, it's just we send soldiers there, we teleport there from our crew and try to solve the issue. And if we fix it, then we can pass by and we solve the entire space combat. We not have to fight against each ship, because we have up to 6 different or a total number of 6 ships we have to fight against. In our case, there are these ships here, and as I see, there are 2 different kinds. This definition is twice and this the same twice again. And the numbers here states for the value of the enemy ships. That's quite easy. First, it's the A and the B crew. Some ships have 2 crews and some only 1. For example, they have 20, 20, 40, 40. Meaning we're writing here 20, 20, 40, 40. These ships are quite small. They only have 2 crew members, value of crew of 2, and these ships have a value of 4. They are a bit bigger, and they don't start to enter combat attacking us because they only have a single crew. If a ship have 2 crews and we get lower of the energy shields and they can teleport through, they're going to enter combat and try to attack us on board of our ship. But these smaller ships don't do that. Okay, we have as well 9 here. The second thing is the hearth points and the weapons. 4 is the hearth and 2 is the weapon power. So they have 4 hearth points. I make it from down to the upside. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and a weapon power of 2. These are the first 2 enemies, and the other one have 5 and 3. So that means they are a little bit bigger. They have more structure points or hearth points and 3 attack points. Okay, that's already all the enemies. There are not one thing. We forget the shields. They have 0, 0. So the first one have just no shields. And the last ones have 2 and 1. This meaning, I have to cross that out. They have 2 shield points and they regenerate 1 shield point each turn. That means we have to first destroy the shield and then we can hit the structure, and each turn they regenerate 1 point. And then we already can close this. We maybe note the experience points here, 7, meaning if we successfully finish the spaceflight, we get 7 experience points. And the flight type, we can note that we know what type of dungeon we can locate to make some safe flight or some deeper flight where we can reroll more dice to define the location. Doesn't make some difference now for the battle, so we don't know that. And the location difficult was 2, I've said. The spaceflight difficult was too high because I can write it here. We become 10 credits because we smuggle some goods inside to some other planet or other place. And now we have to define our ship. We have to do it once because this is the first time we have a space combat. I now write the values of the ship here. That's quite simple. We have some light energy shields. Capacity is 4 and regeneration is 2. So 2 regeneration, and make it like that. 1, 2, 3, 4 shield energy. 2 is the regeneration. Then we have only a laser. That's the cheapest weapon. Make 1 damage. Ammo is unlimited. We're making 1 damage. And we can write here this is a laser, nothing special, not an EMP or something like that. And our hearth points, we have 4 hearth points. That's the standard Terrahal, get 4 hearth points of 4 structure points. If we lose all that structure, we are dead. And here we can write down our crew attack level. We have 3, 3, and 1. We don't have a 4th crew member. And we can calculate the attack strength we need later on if we send, for example, to solve the attack objective. Then we need the strength, the attack value of a crew member, because it simplified the combat. So you just take the strength, 4 points, plus range and melee, 8 points, divided by 4 is a result of 2, and you round it up if it's not a fair number. Okay, here we have 4, 6 and 2, 10, 14. She has the attack level of 3, and here we have 4, 10, 3 as well. And here we can mark if we use the crew, because during combat or during the space combat, we can use the crew members in different phases to doing different tasks, but you can only activate each crew member a single time for 1 turn. In the next turn they are refreshed and you can use them again. Most important thing is here is the phase tracker that shows the phases, how the combat, in which steps it gets processed, and here are the rules for each step in detail. Okay, let's start. Handle the timeline. Nothing happens because we have nothing in the timeline. Then we have solving objectives. That's most important. In this case we have objectives, so we have to solve both of them. We can solve both in a single turn if you manage to do it, but I guess it's getting quite difficult, so we spend all power to solving each after another in 1 turn each, because 17 is a very high level. I'm not sure if we can solve it. We will see. And so yeah, let's start right with solving the objectives. It's A, meaning attack. Roll 2 6-sided dice and at the attack level of the participating crew members against it. So we have 2, 3, and 3. If we send all 3 crew members, and I guess we need to do that, otherwise we have no chance to solve the combat. Or we try to defeat the enemies, but we only have a small laser. I guess we have no chance against them. If we have heavier weapons or so, we can maybe try, but in this case it's more like we try to escape, but then we don't find a new location and everything is for nothing. We don't get the 10 credits. That's not so good, and not the experience points. So we try to solve the objectives before they destroy us, and then we already won at the end of the next turn. Okay, let's try. So we have attack value 2, 3, and 3 is a 8 together, and we have to roll these 2 dice against 17. This is meaning we need to roll a 9 to solve it. Oh, that's quite difficult, but maybe I'm lucky. The first objective is solved. Only one turn again, solving one objective, and the shield station is deactivated, and we can pass the shield and solve the ground combat, the space combat. Okay, pilot your ship. We can now spend crew members to pilot the ship. That brings something to avoid enemy fire. So if they make hits, then we can negate. My English is terrible. I can just ignore the damage, depending on to how big is the attack level and how good I roll the dice. But in our case, I already spent all three crew members, and cannot spend them again in this turn. The next turn I can use them again. So nothing happens. Then define your targets. That I can do. Why not? It will not have some big impact on the enemies because they are too strong. But why not? We're shooting at the first enemy, and we have to shoot with all weapons at a single enemy, and we have to define at the beginning, because we cannot say, oh, we just fire the EMP first, and only if the shield's down, then we fire the rocket after it. We don't have the time to wait. We have to decide and then fire everything at once. And only if you have the target system, you can aim to multiple targets. At the moment we have to, anyway we have only one weapon, so we fire at the first enemy. Then we roll the die for. It's quite simple. You have to roll against 4 with 1 die for every damage point. Our laser have only 1 point. Ammo it doesn't need, so we just roll the die. 1 damage point. Okay. So he loses 1 structure point. If I roll a 6, we got some extra damage as well, like in ground combat or the location exploration mode. Okay. Enemy fire. Now the enemy fires back. They have a attack value, 2 points, 2 points, 3 points, 3 points. That's a total of 10 points. So they get 10 dice. And they roll, because we have no maneuver engines, making the hit chance worse for the enemies. So they already hit with a 4+, the same as we do. So 10 dice against 4+. 1, 2, 3. 6. And we wasn't able to spend some crew members to avoid the hits. We not all, for example, we have now the chance to spend crew members to avoid some damage, but we spend all. So we have 6 damage, and we have 4 shield energy. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The shield is now empty, and 2 hits going through the shield right now and hitting our structure. 1 structure damage and another structure damage. And for each structure damage we have to check, open it a bit, if some system gets damaged. The more systems we have, the bigger is the chance that something gets hit. You roll a 20-sided and a 6-sided dice. A 6-sided dice is the value here above. So I roll a 4, 3 or 4 is this line. And then we roll a 20-sided dice, so we roll in the same time, meaning this row. So exactly this system at the moment is just blank, gets hit, nothing happens. But if the system is empty, we reroll twice. So 5 and number 3. This is the teleporter here, but we don't have that crew teleporter. 13, and number 6 is here. Nothing as well. So this was the first hit, but we get 2 hits, so we have to do the same again. The first try to get find some system that gets destroyed. We don't have a hull expansion. 20, that can maybe hit. 26, storage expansion, okay, lucky, nothing. The last time a number 8 and number 5. Number 5 is here. For example, if I roll a 1, my laser gets damaged. Let's say I rolled a 1, the laser is damaged. I write here a big D for damaged. We cannot use the system again. If our shields, for example, gets damaged, it doesn't work. The shields is completely off. And we can repair that system after the space combat, no problem. But if it gets destroyed, so if it gets hit another time, then the complete system is destroyed and we have to buy an entire new system if you want to have it back. Okay, that was the enemy attack. Then we can enter enemy ships. That's maybe worth trying, because if we don't do and they attack us again, we maybe solve the objective, but we have to survive the next turn. And if they hit us again like this with 2 damage points and our shield only regenerates 2 points, then the chance that we're dying is quite big. Or we try to escape now. This is option number 8. Before we loop the combat, just fly away. So what we do now? We have to make some decision. I choose the decision which shows best how the game works. So we try to enter combat, enter an enemy ship. And for example, we don't have to use our crew members, we can just send them. It makes no difference if they are used or not in this case. So yeah, let's do some enter enemy ship combat. We send all crew members. So if we the enter combat, no matter if the enemy enter us or we enter the enemy, always goes till the end. So if they dying, we win. But if they win, then we are all over. Except we only send 2 crew members. Then 1 is left, and maybe still can control and maybe fly home. But in our case, I would say we send everybody. We just have to make the decision: do we attack a stronger ship or a weaker ship? 6, 8. I say we attack a weaker ship. We don't risk too much. So just a ship with a crew strength of 2. We fly that, it not have so much shield energy or no shield energy at all, because if it have more, we cannot teleport through. So we attack. Ground combat is enter combat is not so complicated. This is here explained under enter enemy ships. We just teleport between 1 and 4 crew members there, and it repeats until they get defeated. And we rolling dice against the value of 4 as usual, except we have some armory or something special here. In this case, the enemy have two dice rolling against 4. Okay, they have 2 hits, that's not so good. And we doing the same. We have a attack value of 8 points. 3. Oh, only 3 hits. Okay. Then following thing happen. For every 2 hits the enemy have 2 hits. I just noted like that, and we have 3 hits. For each 2 hits they knock out 1 crew member. So 1 crew member pass by now, and it get resurrected the horse, so he not dying. Except I'm rolling a 1. I have to roll 1 die. And if I roll everything except the 1, let's say she gets hit, she loses energy up to 3, and after the space combat she's back there and have 3 health points. But in this space combat we cannot use her again, not for enter combat and not for using in any kind of test. Then the same thing. For every 2 points we produce, and we have 3 hits, so 2 of them are used to lower the enemy's force by 2 points again. So if we have 2 hits, we lower it by 2. If we have 4 hits, we lower them by 4. If we only have 1 hit, nothing happens. So you need always a pair of 2 hits to lower it by 2. And they only have a crew strength of 2, so they're going to be 0 and the ship is destroyed. So we teleport back. She survives but is knocked out, but this entire ship is destroyed and doesn't attack anymore. Okay, that was the enter combat. Then we loop, our shields regenerates by 2 points. The enemy ships as well, but we don't damage their shield, they are still full. And we have the solving the objectives and repair. So if we have a damaged system, we don't have any, we don't want to repair that, we want to take care about the objective. The only bad thing is now we lost 1 crew member. We chosen before that we want to let that she's knocked out, but I think about if that's a good decision. No, that's not a good decision. Let's say Chunks is knocked out because she have a bigger attack value and we need the attack value now to solve the last objective. Okay, so he's away. So we get 3 and 3, a bonus plus 6 plus 2 dice. Oh, that means we need to roll a 11. It's quite hard. Maybe the enter combat was no good idea. We don't solve it. So nothing happened and we don't even lower that. We have to try until we roll a 11 and I guess the enemy will defeat us first. That was quite bad, the decision. Maybe we can enter them as well and then try to enter them and defeat all of them in enter combat, but we're running out of crew. I guess that will not work. Normally we now game over and we just have to try to escape. We have no chance to win that situation. It's just some too hard combat situation. And that's one thing you have to think about and to plan if you should even risk to fight against them and if you have a chance to win it, or if you say no, no way, it's not even worth trying, I just lose crew members if I try, so just escape and we let the spaceflight fail, everything's fine, we don't find something new, but at least we are not going to die. And right at the beginning the ship is so weak that we have no big chance against some strong enemies. For example, if we decided not to, let's say, oh, okay, we don't attack the ship in enter combat and he's still alive and still all 3 crew members from us is alive, and then we can still add 8 points and we only need to roll a 9 and we are lucky, I roll a 9, then we solve the last objective, so we only have to survive 1 turn and we win the ground combat, the space combat. And we can check if we have a chance, for example, doing the attack again against 10 points again, against 4, only 1 strike getting through, 2, 3. Yeah, that was quite lucky because we have 2 shield energy and we're losing 1 structure point and we have 1 structure point left, so we survive. We maybe get a damage again, so I roll a 3. We have nothing in this row, so we not even have to roll again. The second try, this is this line, this row here, and 13 armor. We don't have some armor, extra armor. And we have again this, and this is 12 entry shields. The entry shields prevent, even if our shields are down, that the enemies cannot enter us in combat. Nothing happens, so no ship system gets damaged. We just lose some structure, but after the combat, and now it's over, the shield regenerates entirely. So if we, in the next turn, the entire turn of the game, we start a new combat, we are fresh. We have no damage, we have no structure damage as well. Everything's fine. We're getting now 7 experience points. We're getting 7, and we're getting credits, 10 because we smuggled some goods. And then we going forward to the location generator and can close this. And generates a new location, and if it's interesting, we land at that location, and we only can land there. We can say, if we generate it and we say, oh, it's quite bad, we don't want to go there, then we just save it there, but we don't have to go there. Maybe we want to go later there, but we cannot say, okay, no, we fly to map 1. That's we can do next turn, but not at the turn we discovered another location. We have to go there or nowhere. And one thing else. The last thing is the quest master. Somewhere at the map, I'll show you, are some Q marked with a Q. Where we have one? Here, a quest master. If you're in dungeon exploration mode, going here and enter this tile marked with a Q, you are on top of a quest master. And the quest master offers you special task quests to solve. And depending on your location, you just roll a die, 6-sided, a 4. And for example, if we are in space, a 4 meaning we get a escort mission. There are different kind of missions, quests, explained all here in detail. For example, a capture, you have to capture a living alien, and so on. And if you solve it, you get some reward. And you can also say you guarantee that you solve this question in a specified amount of time, then you get some extra reward. But if you fail, you get some penalty. So you not want to fail in that case, and have to really take good care that you really solve the quest in that time. And that's a chance to get some extra bonus as well. And yeah, everything is explained. It's not so complicated. Oh, and one thing back about the space combat. I explained the things that we don't use in this combat because it was just one situation. It's a little bit more complex with the variations that can happen. For example, in the timeline, different things can happen. That can be attack. The enemy attacks a second time right now. That means if the timeline gets triggered, all enemies attack once. Backup, that the enemy ships get backup. Combat, then they try to enter you if your shields are weak enough, 3 and below, except you have some enter protection shields. Often evading happening. Means if here some evading is inserted in the timeline, it means all enemy ships try to evade this turn, so you only hit them not with a 4, you hit them with a 5+. Idle, that means nothing happens, the enemy ships are busy somehow and they doesn't attack you or do anything. Shields of all enemies are down and also will not recharge. At the next turn they are back like they were loaded before. So they just turn their shields off for one turn because they have to do some special thing or so. So that's a good chance to attack them. Exit, they are leaving the combat and you win. Sometimes you just have to survive a specific time and then they escape because they have to fly somewhere. The vice versa is a T, you lost the game because timeout. So you have to solve it before the T timeline gets hit. And G, your ship gets destroyed entirely if the space combat is not finished or you manage to escape before this point. Game over. Yeah, this is close to the same. Oh, isn't it the same? The difference between the T and the G is, in one case you just failed the space combat, so you missed the chance to discover a new location, but you survive. And in the other case, at G, your ship is completely destroyed. If you not solved the combat or escaped until that time, you destroyed. Quite harder. The objectives, we have had a combat. You also can have an objective where you have to use your tech roll, or you have to hit with your ship weapon some specified point. For example, you have to shoot at some reactor somewhere before you can fly by. Repair, this is something happened there. Yeah, exactly. Except solving objectives, you can send your crew and using their tech level to repair damaged ship systems. If you own ship. Yeah, pilot your ship. You can roll and depending on the value, ignoring damage. The weapons have some little special effect. We have a EMP weapons. They take double damage against shields, so very strong to destroy shields, but have no impact against structure. So if you shoot an EMP weapon just to some ship structure, nothing happens. High explosive weapons, it's close the opposite. They have no impact against shields because they just explode at the energy barrier, but if the enemy have no shields, all damage getting through the shield doubles at the moment of the impact, and overclocked weapons can fire a double damage burst, making the double damage, but spending not only 1, they're spending 4 ammo doing so. So the ammo gets wasted quite quickly. This was enemy fire, we already did it. Enter the ship, we already did it. If they enter us, it's exactly the same. They fight until one race is dead, the enemies or we are dead. And for example, if we have some, the ship system, we're going through the ship system in a second. There are something helping us in that enter combat. We can try to escape by rolling dice, and after all we recover the crew so we can spend them again. For example, if we fire a weapon and we have still for some unused crew member, then we can reroll the attack die and maybe hit. Okay, and loop again until it's solved, until all enemies defeated, or in case we have objectives, until all objectives are solved. Okay, the enemy ship systems I go through in a quick attempt. Teleporter can teleport into our crew, into the locations. Medbay can heal them, we already used them. Long range sensors, with them we can reroll a location generator dice. So if we roll, for example, the kind of the location we find, we can just reroll it and maybe find the more better or more fitting location instead of the first one. Maneuver engines, then the enemy only hit us if they roll a 5+. Armor, we can ignore 1 armor. Entry shields, they prevent the enemy to teleporting to our ship even if we have no shield energy or less than 3. Light shields is the shields we already have, we can upgrade with stronger shields. Hyper navigation memory, that we can save more location. Yeah. Now we can save 3 locations. Here we can save 3 more. Then what else more? We have here second near med bay again, drone bay for the location generator because we can send drones out. Onboard defense, we get some 2 auto hits if they enter us in combat. Armor plating is some protective against. High structure, bring us more structure points to survive longer. Storage expansion, expanding the storage we can use in our spaceship to store weapons and ammo and so on. Combat bridge, we hitting more easy. Target system, we can hit at multiple targets. The armory, our ground combat groups already hit with a 3+ dice roll. This is the hull again, and different kind of weapons making much more damage, like for example the heavy laser making 2 damage, auto cannon making 2 damages, high explosive, you can overclock it and have ammo of 6. If there's a ammo defined, you only can fire until the ammo is empty, and then you have to wait for the next. As if you end the space combat, all ammo refuels automatically. You don't have to buy new ammo like you have to do for your ground troops. There you need to buy magazines and so on, but the ship's ammo recharge automatically. That's some kind of luxus. Okay, that's all about the space combat and the Questmaster. Yeah, and in the final version they have I will do some small fixes, but generally it's entirely playable. And yeah, that's Space Kraken. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to join and to follow us on YouTube. There will be much more videos explaining stuff and reviews, and yeah, it's just upcoming. It's day number, I don't know, day number 3 since I'm going online with the campaign, with the preview page. The campaign starting end of May, and yeah, it's running quite good. So good luck and bye bye.